here yet. I will see if I can get you all to come over to the other Hey Suzanne, hey, you found me, a couple of people found me, that's awesome. I've just had to basically jump off the laptop and go onto my phone. I'm just going to try and get into the old chat and yay, can you hear me okay? Hey Vicky, it's so good to see you. I'm just moved to here. Yay, we have started. Okay, so what happened? What happened was the last time I did a live thing on YouTube, I literally just turned my webcam on and started talking and everything worked fine. This time it was asking me for encoders and software and things that I had like literally no idea about. So I scrambled around and tried to get things started. And then it looked like I was all good to go, but then you couldn't hear me. So I've moved here and hopefully we will be able to get this started. Oh, I've just posted that in the wrong place. Hey Susan, great to see you, great to hear from you. It's funny, you know, that I was thinking, hey, let's talk about stress and mental health and self-care and doing the things that we need to do to not necessarily avoid stress, because I think stress is quite often a part of life, but to, you know, deal with the way that we manage stress and at least reduce it so that we don't freak out and go for a cigarette. Hey Karen and Louisa, great to see you. So yeah, I thought, hey, well, let's talk about that. And then YouTube just sends me on this crazy adventure, like with all kind. I was literally just going, I'm not going to be able to do this. But we made it. We are safe and we are all together. It's really interesting for me that as I was doing that, and I was sort of like trying to deal with the technical difficulties of this, realizing like, do you know what? There would have been a time when I would have, you know, like I said, I just had a little bit of a panic, but there would have been a time when I would have been losing my mind and running outside for as many cigarettes as I can. Right now, what I'm talking about is that everything broke. So, and I'm going to get onto today's subjects properly. Hey, Dawn, great to see you. I'm glad everyone's managed to find me after I've changed this stream a couple of times. So yeah, what I thought I'd talk about a little bit was just mental health and why it's so important to take care of ourselves whilst we are going through the quit smoking process. But I also thought if there's anything you particularly want to talk about, if you have questions, or just, you know, you might have your own I can't think of the word. You might have your own ideas or suggestions on the best things to do it. There you go. How do I feel about meditation? I think meditation can be very, very helpful. The problem I have with meditation is that I'm not very good at it. And I quite often get frustrated with myself, because I have the thing where when I try to meditate, I will like tense up. But I think meditation can be very helpful, and there's lots of different ways to do meditation. So for me, rather than just trying to sit and breathe and listen to guided meditations, I think I mentioned this in the last one, I tried Tai Chi. Sometimes to me, journaling can be very meditative for me, because it's very much just being in that moment and concentrating, you know, on where I am, not being 1,000 miles in the future, not dwelling on the past, but just being in the here and now. And I think that's what that's the most important thing for me, is to be in the here and now. Because if I start letting my brain run away with me and go too far into the future, then it always, like, I notice this. I don't know if you guys are the same, but when my brain starts running away from me, I will run into, I'll never run into like, yeah, everything's going to work out well and everything will be happy. I always run into everything's going to be a disaster and things will, eventually implode on me. So it's better to just not let myself get that far ahead. And one of the techniques that I was taught by a CBT therapist when I catch my train of thought literally hurtling off the tracks is to imagine it as a train and to sort of close my eyes and go, okay, I'm going too fast. My thoughts are going too far away from me. I need to pull the brakes and slow down and just come back to where I am and take a deep breath and then literally to visualize myself stepping off the train and saying, do you know what? I'm just here in the here and now. So I saw a question, somebody asked me, what did I use to distract myself in the early going? Things like I say, meditation in itself wasn't helpful for me, but I'm not going to sit here and say don't meditate because I think it is really helpful. Hey, Donna, great to see you. So for me, a lot of journaling, a lot of going outside. I think I mentioned this in pretty much every single video. I'll say, go outside and get some fresh air and sunshine. The sunshine helps produce serotonin. Serotonin helps us to relax. That can be particularly helpful when we are like bouncing off the walls, going absolutely crazy. What I wanted to talk a little bit about, and you have to bear with me, I am literally all over the place today, is I mentioned this in a little video that I posted in Finding Freedom on Tuesday, was it? About why, like, we can talk all night long if you want to about all the different methods for taking care of ourselves and taking time out, but the reason that I just wanted to reiterate really why it's so important is that when we go full bore, like when we're going 100 miles an hour, when we're doing thousands of things, when we're trying to be everything to everybody, we eventually grind down, we slow down, we get tired, our brains get cloudy, and our ability to make smart, healthy, effective decisions greatly diminishes. The first video that I made at the start of this year, I was talking entirely about, when we quit smoking, we literally do it one decision at a time. 1 month smoke free, that is awesome. We quit smoking literally one decision at a time. We make the decision to quit smoking. We get up in the morning, we make that decision that today we are not going to smoke. When we are faced with trigger situations, when we are faced with, oh my goodness, our emotions, we have to make a decision in that moment about how we're going to react to that situation. Sometimes we don't even make the decision consciously because we're so swept up in the emotion, in the feeling that we sort of just react. But that reaction is still a decision, and we end up making the decision to go and smoke. So what I was talking a little bit in Finding Freedom about practicing the art of mindful decision making. Like as I go about my day, I'm going to make the decision like, what shall I drink now? Well, I could drink 2 liters of soda, but is that the best thing for me? No, probably a glass of water. So I keep making these mindful, conscious decisions so that when I am faced with that moment of truth, when it's like, oh my goodness, like I'm stressed and I'm, I'm angry or I'm upset or whatever it is, and I feel like changing the way that I feel, then I get to make, I'm more used to making a healthy, effective decision. So I can make the decision to walk away, to not smoke, to go and do something else instead. But when we are stressed out, when we are overworked, when we are overtired, we don't make the same great decisions that we otherwise would if we were fit and healthy and and calm. Added to that, we have the fact that when we are, burning out, when we are crashing, the things that trigger us and the things that, make us go, oh my goodness, this is all happening, are things that normally wouldn't stress us out to that extent or wouldn't make us that sad or that emotional. There are things that we might, on a I'll say normal day, there are things that we might deal with quite easily that when we are stressed out or overtired, can send our heads way off and can send us into a complete spin. So I think it's a dangerous combination to when we're tired to be so easily triggered and not necessarily have our defenses up and not be able to deal with those trigger situations as effectively as we otherwise would when we are well rested, when we are feeling calmer and peaceful and more content. So that was the main point that I wanted to make today, is just that why it's so important. I think it was Karen asked me about meditation, and I'll say yes. Like I've said, it is great. It's not. There are different ways to meditate. I used to hang out with this girl, and she'd do guided meditations with me. Like we'd sit together, and she'd have me close my eyes and talk me through like a guided meditation. You're going into like a forest, and there's all this happening, and I think that can be really helpful for some people. Like I say, journaling helps, getting outside helps. I tell you what is a really good way of just taking some time out, especially if, life is busy and chaotic. We have to go to work and because of physical pain. Dawn, I will answer that question. I will in just a second. Yeah, when life is busy and stressful, is to take 5 minutes to go and have a shower, or to get in the bath, and not just jump in the shower and be like, okay, I'm just going to quickly have a wash and get out, but to fully experience being in the shower, to feel how the water feels, to smell how the soap smells, and to literally imagine all the stress and the tension and all the fatigue is literally being washed off your body, and to fully be present in that moment. And I find it's very relaxing, and it has a very sort of uplifting quality to it. I tend to, when I make my regular YouTube videos, before I do them, I always go in and have a shower and a shave and brush my teeth and stuff. Not so that, hey, look at me looking my best for the camera, but just because I feel my best when I've done that. Vaping. I'll answer the one on vaping too. So we'll talk about pain and we'll talk about vaping. Totally forgotten what I was going to say. Yeah, so I always have a shower before I do it, because that's when I feel my best, and it's just taking those few moments to completely, you know, when I'm in the shower, I can't be doing anything. I can't answer phone. I can't check my emails. I can't worry about what, the kids are doing or my partner's doing or anything like that. It's just that moment, just for me. And it's easy to, at a time when you might have difficulty taking an afternoon off or taking a day off or taking a week off, to go, do you know what? I might not be able to have that time, but I can at least have 5 minutes, just to go and really enjoy having that shower. Dawn asked, hi Tony, great to see you. Dawn asked about smoking for pain. I'm curious as to whether smoking actually did anything for the pain, or if it was just a distraction. Because I tend to find that with most things, smoking is just a distraction from physical and emotional pain or discomfort. And I think if we're just using it it just made you feel better. That's interesting. But the thing is, when you feel the pain and then you have the cigarette, and it makes you feel better maybe in that moment, I'm assuming, but then later the pain comes back. Is that right? So the pain doesn't necessarily go away. It doesn't, the cigarette doesn't heal anything. It doesn't necessarily cure anything. It's just in that moment. So there are, it might be, and the same with everything. Like a cigarette will never fix our problems for us. I would suggest it's more beneficial to actually dig down into the root cause of the problem, and if we can't necessarily fix it, we can find healthier ways to deal with it. So I've always had issues with my back and things like that, and that used to be one of the, I'm going slightly off topic, but one of the reasons why I used to drink a lot was to numb the pain of just like, my physical body. Hey, good to see you. And we'll talk about patches too. But then, I'd sober up and the pain would still be there. So eventually I had to go and, look at, okay, what can I actually do for this back pain? I'm going to have to, do yoga exercises or stretch or see a doctor. I would recommend, you know, researching what is going to be the best, wherever your pain is and whatever, I'm sorry to hear that you're in physical discomfort. Um, but to go and get down into the root of that pain and find healthier options to alleviate it long term, hopefully to fix it for good. Spinal stenosis, okay. So I don't know enough about that to know if it can be fixed or cured, but I'm pretty certain there will be other things that we can do besides smoking to I'm rambling now. Healthier things that we can do to sort of alleviate that discomfort for longer and in a more healthier way than smoking. Smoking's beautiful. No, absolutely be proud. We're all on this journey, and my thing eventually is that people will get to a point in their journey where they don't need to come and watch my videos. They don't need to check out with us anymore. It'll make me sad because I quite like hanging out with you, but my point is, yes, celebrate being, the whole point of this is not to dwell in, I mean, I say dwell, that's probably the wrong word, but the whole point of this is not to live in permanent discomfort and permanently struggle with it. It's my birthday tomorrow. The purpose, I named the group Finding Freedom because that's what I want us to do. I want us to celebrate that. If we have 60 days, if we have 6 hours, man, if we have 6 minutes and like we've made that decision to quit smoking, let's celebrate that and be joyful about quitting smoking. Thank you, Don. So somebody asked about vaping. I've been tempted many times to make a video about vaping, and something always kind of just says to me, yeah, let's not like go into that because you're gonna open a whole world of controversy. Because I know some people who vape and they're very, very passionate about vaping, and that's fine for them. For me, it is not something that I would recommend or advocate. I'm not going to, you'll never hear me. I'm never going to make a video say, hey, if you're quitting smoking, try vaping. Although if that is what you are doing, I'm not going to say to you, well, you vape, so you're not welcome here and I don't want to talk to you. If that's what is working for you, then, by all means, stick with it. The issues that I have with vaping personally, exactly, it's not just the addiction to nicotine, it's still relying on that external thing. It's like whenever I feel something I don't quite, I feel some level of discomfort, whether that is emotional, physical, mental, then I reach for this crutch and I bring this crutch to my lips and I distract myself from what I'm dealing with. Whereas, what I would like for us to do is ultimately to be able to meet life head on without relying on those external crutches. It sounds like it is working for you. The other thing for me why I won't necessarily talk about um, vaping is that I tried it years ago, and I found that I ended up taking in more nicotine than I did when I actually smoked cigarettes. And I worked for a time in an office with this guy, and he was vaping too. And we both agreed that we were taking in more nicotine. Like, because when you smoke nowadays, especially if you're at work, you have to make a conscious decision to get up from your desk, to go outside, to light up the cigarette. Whereas when you're vaping, it's quite, you can have a little sneaky puff here and a little sneaky puff there. You can smoke inside the house quite often. So you end up taking in even more nicotine. I don't think it necessarily does us any good. It keeps us hooked, and I don't think we find freedom in the same way that we otherwise would. However, I have in the past talked about nicotine replacement therapy and said, my sort of stance on nicotine replacement therapy again is that it works and is effective in as much as it does what it is supposed to do. I think there is something to be said for let's break this quit process up. So, I was just writing something today actually that a lot of people will say, quitting smoking is all in your head, which I don't believe at all. I believe a lot of it is up here, a lot of it is also here, but some of it, when we quit, we get the physical withdrawal symptoms, we get the headaches or the quitter's flu or the other stuff. That is a physical reaction to our body healing and repairing itself. So I think sometimes it might be an option to break that quit up and say, okay, let's stop smoking cigarettes so that our bodies can heal and repair and start coughing up all the gunk from the lungs. Let's give it time to deal with those withdrawal symptoms. Don't want to go but have to work. Thank you so much, Jimmy. Good to see you. I hope work goes well for you today. Hi, Bernard. Good to see you. So yeah, so it might be an option to break the quit up and say, let's tackle the withdrawal symptoms, whilst keeping the nicotine addiction, and then let's break the nicotine addiction. It's up to you basically the best way to do it. I will, when I make my videos, I tend to recommend the things that I either know work for me or believe will work for other people. Congratulations, that's awesome. It was funny, somebody um, in the Finding Freedom group a couple of days ago said, oh, I thought this group was here to talk about Chris's method for quitting smoking. And it was the first time that I ever sort of realized that anybody might see, that what I have is a method. I never really thought about myself as coming here and saying, hey, this is my method for quitting smoking and you should all follow me and do what I do. Exactly. My goal, my message, if there is a message as such, is, not necessarily to follow my method, but to follow your method and to enjoy that long-term freedom, to break free from not just from the actual physical nicotine addiction, but to that psychological thing of, oh my goodness, something happened and I couldn't deal with it, and then I had a cigarette. I'm going to do more videos about relapsing and more videos about dealing with those moments. Since I started making these videos and started really getting very passionate about wanting to help people break their addiction and become smoke free, I tend to find that when people do come and they have relapsed or they have come close, people never say, You know, Chris, I was doing really well at quitting smoking, but then I just got up one day and I thought, you know what, I'm just going to start smoking again for no reason. Quite often it's, you know what, I quit smoking and I was doing well, and then something happened. There was this stressful occasion. I had an argument with somebody. Something happened. And in that moment, I just had this temporary lapse of judgment and I went and had a cigarette. So for me, what is important is not just not smoking, it's not just quitting smoking, it's quitting our reliance on these external things, because quite often we can, we can quit smoking, but then something happened and we may not smoke, but we may go get drunk, or we may overeat, or cigarettes are not just nicotine. See, this is what I said about vaping. Like, for me personally, it's not something that I would advocate, but I can, I totally respect that it is a method for other people. Hi, Sada. 100th quit attempt. Hey, Elizabeth, I remember you from a while ago. You used to comment quite regularly, so hey, it's great to see you. Somebody just asked about waking up in the morning and feeling down from the withdrawals and things like that. My biggest tip or suggestion is to change your morning routine and build in things that make you feel good. Again, I'd say, go and take a shower. If you can, go outside for a few moments. For me, my morning routine was hard at first, not just because I was withdrawing, not just because of the physical cravings, but because for so long my morning routine was to get up and smoke and get and have a coffee and smoke and and do that until my lungs were black and I was bouncing off the walls. So I found when I redid my entire routine, I didn't just break those triggers of like walking into the kitchen and wondering why I'm not smoking, but I also found that my mood improved and I was happier and healthier. Um, so nowadays when I get up in the morning, the first thing that I do is I go to the kitchen and I drink a full glass of water so that I can start my day off healthily and hydrated. Because anything can happen during the day, and I might not end up drinking any more water, but at least I've done something good for myself to start the day with. Then I do some light stretching again because I might not end up doing any exercise. I might any kind of things that could happen to me, but I've stretched. I've just been lying down for like 8 hours, so now I stretch and I awaken my body, and then I'll sit down and I'll do some reading, and I'll write my journal, and I'll write my gratitude journal, which is it's been such an important part of my journey. I'll write my gratitude journal, and then having done all that, like somebody, we were talking about meditation earlier, somebody might want to put meditation in there. But having done all that, we start the day feeling physically and mentally good. So I hope that answers that question. We'll stick around for a few more minutes. I feel like this sort of got derailed at the start because I was all flustered with the technical difficulties. One injection to stop it forever. See, I'm going to look that guy up because I still question about whether, would that just break the body's dependence or the body's craving for nicotine? But what about the psychological impact when you find yourself in a situation where you used to smoke and your mind says, hey, we used to smoke here? You are absolutely not alone in this journey. None of us are. The fact that we're all here together, proves that we are not alone. It's interesting that when I first started this, I genuinely believed that nobody would want to watch my videos. I thought what I would do is I would just make them for me, and they'd maybe get like 5 or 6 views by accident, and then I'd go about my merry way and forget about the whole experience forever. And it just turned into something I was very passionate about because you all came and left comments and said, hey, you're describing the way I feel or the way that I think or the way that I act. And for me, it was an eye opener to realize that, yeah, I'm not alone either. A lot of craziness can go on up here. And sometimes I think, man, I must be the only person who thinks like this, and I'm not. So thank you to all of you for letting me know that I'm not crazy. Or if I am crazy, then at least all of you are too. Thank you. I also wanted to say thank you to Jess and Andrea and Susan and Kristen for the support on Patreon. That was something that I got asked to do a while ago and did for a while, and then I was thought about getting rid of it. But if people are finding value from the Patreon, then I will keep it up. And also, I thanked her in the group itself, but thank you to Vicky for all the hard work she does moderating that group. It is growing. We are building this wonderful community of people who are helping each other through their journey, no matter how they are getting through that journey. It is so important. What I love most of all is that most of us are kind and respectful of other people's methods, other people's journey, and I'd very much like for that to continue. If I've missed your question or if I haven't replied to your comment, I do apologize. When I'm when I'm on my laptop, I can see the chat running down the side, but now I'm on my phone because we had that emergency. I see your message pop up and then disappear again, so I have to try and quickly read it and then it goes. So, hello, Bill, great to see you. So I have missed a few things. Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate you taking time out to come and watch these videos. Yeah, so I feel like I've missed a few things. I no longer stink and I have more energy. Yeah. The smell thing is something that we don't seem to talk about often enough. Absolutely. That's that. Yeah. Having those affirmations, I am going today I am healthy. Today I do not smoke. Today all of those things, whatever works for you. We're all a little crazy. Oh, that's glad. I'm glad to hear it. I was working on something today about trigger situations that I'll share with you in an upcoming video. A couple of weeks ago, I did the relapse recovery plan, the worksheet that you can literally sit down and figure things out. I don't know if anyone's used that, if you find it helpful or not, do let me know. But I came up with a similar thing for noticing trigger situations, those things I talked about before, where we find ourselves going, oh my goodness, something happened. I was in this place, or this thing happened, or I spoke to this person and I felt like smoking. I've created this worksheet that helps us to do not only identify what all those situations are, but to come up with an actionable strategy for finding a better way to deal with them. So I'll share that, if not next week, the week after, but also if there is anything else that you would like me to talk about in future videos. Take care, Tony. Good to see you. If there's anything else you'd like me to talk about in future videos, please do let me know. I do scan the comments and the feedback, even if I don't have time to reply to everything anymore. And I'll try and make videos on the things that people seem to be talking about the most. But yeah, to go back to what I was saying right at the start of this video, definitely talk about alcohol. Alcohol in terms of alcoholism and addiction, or alcohol in terms of, whether we should be drinking while we're quitting smoking. Because I have actually written, I don't have the piece of paper with me. I wrote down on a piece of paper yesterday, right about, do a video about alcohol and quitting smoking. So yeah, I will definitely get to that. Yeah, but to just quickly go back to what I was saying at the very start of this video, if you only take one thing away from me rambling at you for the past 35 minutes, is just remember to take some time out, just every now and again to do things for you. We quite often get into this thing of, oh my goodness, I've got to help everybody else and do things for everybody else, and it becomes this huge cross that we bear. Hey Sherry, great to see you. Yeah, oh, you already messaged me. I recognize you now. Thank you, Karen. So yeah, so we quite often do everything for everybody else, but if we don't, thanks, Steve. If we don't occasionally do things for ourselves, then we are not in any position to help other people. I quite often think about the phrase, we can't pour from an empty glass. Absolutely, Vicky. I certainly agree with that. It's amazing how much more time and energy we have to do new things when we quit smoking. A whole new world sort of opens up to us. We can do things that we never thought possible. Okay, I was going to make this video half an hour, but we'll go for just a couple of minutes, just because I think it might be nice to just round it off at 40 minutes. So if there's anything else that you'd like to talk about, then do let me know and we'll touch on it quickly. I will just let you know very quickly how the book is coming on. I just finished another big edit today. My shoulders are hurting because I've been all over this laptop. All over my laptop finishing the edit. I'm really great. I'm really glad they helped. The book I've done is, I don't know if I told you this last time, but it's like a 31-day guide through the first month of your quit, and every day is a different chapter that sort of corresponds to where I think you might be on your journey. So like the first week, the first like 7 chapters are all about preparing and become motivated to quit smoking. In the second and third weeks, I write chapters about withdrawal symptoms and sleep and all the stuff that we've covered on YouTube. And then the fourth week is about, preparing for life after smoking and transitioning into becoming a nice, healthy, happy, normal non-smoker. So yeah, thank you. So I'm hoping, I've got a few more bits of editing to do and I want to pass it on to somebody else to take a look at, but I'm hoping to get it out by the end of summer. I got so distracted doing this video, but just talking about the smell really reminded me of something that I never used to realize how badly I smelled. I know people would, some people, my dad would tell me, my dad would have nothing, no politeness about him and just say, yeah, you stink. But I never realized, to what extent. And then about probably 6 months after I quit smoking, I'd stopped really spending a lot of time with people who smoke, so I never really got the the full extent of the smell. I'll always remember I got asked to go and share my story at a 12-step meeting. So I went and I shared and I talked all about how I got sober and all that stuff. And then this guy comes over and he like stands behind me and leans in to talk to me. And oh my God, I feel terrible saying this. He smelled so bad and the smell of cigarettes was so strong, I felt like vomiting. And I was like, and it really like shocked me because, I didn't think, oh my God, this guy stinks. My first thought was, oh my God, that's how I used to smell. So it really sort of was an eye opener. So yeah, on that happy thought, I know this video has been kind of all over the place, but I've enjoyed this. I quite like just, let's just bounce ideas and talk about whatever comes up. I think I might do one of these live chats once a month if you find them helpful, or if you just like hearing me completely ramble on. Hopefully, next time I will set up so that I don't have to post 3 different links to get you all here. Until then, I have been holding my phone up for a long time, so my my arms are starting to hurt. So I will say goodbye for now. Thank you so much for all your support. I say this very often, but I am genuinely, very much appreciative. That's a word I can never say. I'm very humbled that you all support me and you all come and take time out to watch my videos. Like I said earlier, I didn't think anybody would. So this has all come as a bit of surprise for me, the whole Finding Freedom group and everything. But I'm trying to fully embrace it. So I will wish you a wonderful week. I hope you all enjoy yourselves. It is my birthday tomorrow, so feel free to send me cake. Okay.